In this video lesson, we are going to be using the completing the square method to write the equation in Vertex form. Okay, so you see here that we have an equation, 3x squared plus 24x plus 36. So if this equation is set equal to 0, the first thing we always want to do is to take our constant and either add or subtract it from both sides or move it to the other side. So this equation is going to look like this. We're going to have 3x squared plus 24x equals negative 36. Now you may notice that all these numbers are divisible by 3. And that is true. And previously I've told you that you can divide everything by 3. But in this lesson, I want to show you what it looks like to factor out the 3 and hold on to that factor, because we're going to be writing this in Vertex form. And this 3 is going to be the a value of the Vertex form. Remember, the Vertex form is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. So the completing the square part is going to be this x minus h squared. And then we're going to determine what the k is. So let's continue working this example here. So in this ax squared plus bx part, we are going to factor out the 3. And then what remains is x squared plus an 8x. Okay, equals, and then over here we have negative 36. Now, to complete the square, okay, for this part right here, not considering the 3 right now, but to complete the square, we do half of the b, which is 4, and then 4 squared is 16. So we're going to be adding 16 to the left side to complete the square. Now, we're not actually going to add 16 to this side because this 16 is being multiplied by 3. So what we're actually going to have to add over here to keep this equation equal is 16 times 3, which is 48. So we're going to be adding 48 to keep it true. We added 16 to complete the square part of it, but again, we have to multiply by this a value of 3. Okay, so now we can factor this part and we can combine these terms over here. So it's going to be 3 times x plus 4 squared equals 12. Now you should recognize that this is almost in Vertex form, except for this 12 would need to be on this side, so we'll end up subtracting it from both sides. So if we were to write this in Vertex form, it's y equals 3 times x plus 4 squared minus 12. And that's how you put it in Vertex form. And again, if we were to determine what is the vertex, remember it's the HK, or it's the opposite of HK. It's going to be the negative 4 and the negative 12. So the vertex is negative 4, negative 12. All right, let's take a look at another example. Okay, in this example, we have negative 2x squared minus 36x minus 90. You may notice it starts with a negative. This just means our parabola is going to have a maximum because it opens down. Okay, but let's go ahead and convert this to Vertex form using completing the square. So the first thing is we're going to take this constant of minus 90 and move it to the other side because we have this set equal to 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to have negative 2x squared minus 36x equals 90. Basically, we just added 90 to both sides and ended up with a positive 90 over here. Now, we're going to complete the square here. Okay, but we are going to factor out the -2. So -2, and then what we're left with is x squared plus 18x, because -2 times positive 18x would get us back to the -36, okay? And then we're going to end up completing that square, and it equals 90, okay? So what are we going to need to add here to complete the square of just this part here, x squared plus 18x? Well, we take half of 18, which is 9, and we square that. That's 81. So we are going to be adding 81 to complete the square. Now, if there was not a -2 out here, we'd be adding 81 to both sides. But since I left this 90 and I haven't divided it by or factored out the 2, I have to multiply 81 times -2, and that's what I'm going to be adding over here. So that's going to be -162. Okay, now we have our a value of -2, but we can factor this trinomial because we know it's a perfect square, because that's what we just did. We completed the square. So we are going to have -2, and then it is going to be x plus 9 squared equals -72. Okay. Now, if we're going to write this in vertex form, we have the a times x minus h squared. The k, it's the -72 over here, needs to come to this side, and it would be a positive 72. So if I write this out in vertex form, it's y equals -2 times x plus 9 squared plus 72. Okay, so that's our vertex form, and then let's go ahead and be sure we understand what is the vertex from this form. It's going to be the hk, but remember it's minus x minus the h, so that's going to be -9 and then 72. So the vertex would be at -9, 72. Now, obviously, the purpose of this video was to take this standard form and write it in vertex form. But I also want to show you how to go ahead and solve it as well when we consider that instead of dividing by and getting rid of this -2, we use it as a factor. So I'm going to take this portion right here and solve it. So let's do that real quick. So if I take this part and it says -2 times x plus 9 squared equals -72. Now, previously, we had just worked to where we didn't have this coefficient here, or we didn't have this a, we just had the x plus 9 squared. So what we're going to do here, since this x plus 9 squared is being multiplied by -2, the inverse is to divide by -2. All right, so when we divide by -2, the left side is just going to be the x plus 9 squared equals 36. Now, to solve that, I'm going to be taking the square of both sides. Well, the square of x plus 9 squared is x plus 9. And that's going to equal plus or minus the square root of 36, which is 6. So when we finally solve for x is going to be equal to -9 plus 6. And x is going to be equal to -9 minus 6. And when you work both of those out, you're going to get a -15 and a -3. So your solution set would be -15 and -3, or your zeros will be -15 and -3, or your roots will be -15 and -3, your x-intercepts, and so on. All right, that is a review or a lesson on converting standard form to vertex form by completing the square.